Hey guys, Probable1701 here, and today we are going to be reviewing the black and white version of the animation for Galaxy 4. And I did watch it with the surviving episode 3 Airlock. I did want to go ahead and watch the black and white version first, because I think I might prefer the color version with the Technicolors going, and plus I wanted to watch it with as much surviving footage as I can. My first gripe is I hate the fact that the original episode 3, just like with Evil of the Daleks, is put in the special features instead of being on the menu with the other episodes, like it was with Faceless Ones. I love in Faceless Ones that you can watch the episodes or the original episode 3 and the original episode 1. It's right there on the episodes menu. But here, like in Evil of the Daleks, the surviving episode is just put as a special feature, and so is the surviving clip from episode 1, about a 6-minute clip from episode 1. And I hate the fact there is no way to watch the animated episode 1 with the 6-minute clip integrated in. So it'll switch to that live action clip and then switch back to the animation. I know some people might find that jarring, but I think some of us, if there's existing footage we want to see, like lengthy existing footage, we want to see the existing footage. So I would have liked to have had the option of watching the black and white version of episode 1 and then it intercutting to that 6 minutes of footage and then transitioning back to the animation. It's very frustrating because when I watched episode 1, I knew I'd seen the surviving footage from episode 1 before, because there was a YouTube listing of it at one point. It was on YouTube, you could watch it. So I knew roughly where it was, so I watched episode 1 up to that point, watched the surviving 6-minute footage, and had to go back to the animation. And that was really annoying. I just wish there was an option where I could have intercut it with the live action footage. I really like the opening shot from the episode, the surviving 8mm footage of the way the TARDIS, it's like the camera's hanging over the TARDIS and then it tilts down to reveal the first Doctor piloting it. And I hate the fact the animation didn't try to match that, probably because it just would have cost too much. I get it, and I wouldn't have wanted them to just waste the budget on that one shot, to be fair. But you watch the animation, and right after the TARDIS materializes, it just cuts to them inside the TARDIS working in a static shot instead of that wonderful shot where it shows the top of the TARDIS and then pans down to reveal the Doctor working the controls. It's a very unusual shot for classic Doctor Who, and I was really impressed by it. And it's a shame the animation couldn't try to mimic that. Steven doesn't look anything like Steven. The animation just doesn't. The model looks fine by itself, but it doesn't look like Steven. I'm going to say that flat out. I don't think it looks like Steven. I think Vicky looks like Vicky. They do a good job with Vicky. I like the fact that the Dravens, the clones, do all look alike since they're supposed to be clones. That makes sense. I think that fits the story, while still having Maga, or whatever her name is, looking different, with the darker clothes and the blonder hair. William Hartnell, or the first Doctor, doesn't look like William Hartnell. Like, the first Doctor doesn't look like this, the promotional art. Let's see on my very banged up dented steelbook, but like that, I've still got one of the discs in there right now. That, from the promotional art, is not what he really looks like in the story. The art just doesn't match. And I couldn't place what it was, but I knew the model for the first Doctor didn't look right. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then one of my other, or I should say one of my other, another fellow Who-tuber, Whovian Expresso, I believe it was, mentioned in their unboxing and their review that to them, the model looked more like Richard Herndl. And as soon as they mentioned that, I was like, that's what it is. And I think that's an accurate statement. The animation model, to me, looks more like Richard Herndl from the 5 Doctors. It's like someone who was animating it, didn't know much about Doctor Who, pulled up an image of the first Doctor, saw one of Richard Herndl, and was off to the races with it. So, and then by the time they realized what happened, they were so far along, they were like, because this is the animation team that I'm pretty sure their motto is, it's good enough. This is definitely the B team. The animation, I think, is much improved over Fury from the Deeps a bit. I mean, it's still obviously the same team, but I think character movements are more smooth. I definitely didn't find it as South Park feeling as I do with some of Fury from the Deep's animation. Most of you guys know I hate Fury from the Deep's animation adamantly. More importantly, the animation matches this story better. The problem with Fury from the Deep is that the animation doesn't match the tone of the story. It's a very atmospheric, scary, spooky, tense, claustrophobic story, and the animation style doesn't match that at all. Whereas in Galaxy 4, it is kind of a B story. It's not one of those stories everybody's just like, dear God, I hope they animate Galaxy 4. You know, everybody's like, oh, Galaxy 4. At least we're getting another Hartnell. So it's kind of a B-list story. So it kind of deserves this B-list animation. The animation does match the tone of the story. Again, I'll judge more on how I think the Technicolor fits the color version when I watch the color version. The black and white version I still think is fine. The animation looks fine in the black and white version. I don't like the Reels ship, how they changed the way it looks. I think it looks better in the surviving episodes. I like the fact you can kind of see the landscape behind it. I think that's a neat effect. The Reels themselves, I think they're better in the surviving episode when Vicky's talking to one in that chamber. I like the way that looks in the surviving episode. I don't like the way they draw the chamber in the animation. It's too small and you can't see much of it. Which I guess kind of makes sense since the Reels, like, you don't want to see what we look like, and in the surviving episode you can see it pretty clearly. So I guess from a story perspective that makes sense. Yeah, this one, the story is okay. I like the lesson. The lesson of don't judge a book by its cover, you know. I mean, I don't think I'm really spoiling too much. I'm sure most people know. I knew going into this story that the beautiful blonde women were the bad ones, and the ugly, disgusting reels were the good ones. I knew that going into it. And to be honest, the story doesn't try to hide it. It's not like some massive twist you find out in the final episode. I mean, you figure out pretty quickly that is the case. I'd say, maybe episode 2, 3. You know what's going on. And the Doctor himself seems to catch on really fast to that. You can, if you watch the surviving clip from episode 1, and you see the look on Hartnell's face, he looks very amused in places, like he knows what's going on, but he's not saying. It's kind of like in Columbo, when Columbo knows who the killer is, and he'll even be explaining to the killer how the killer did it, but he won't be saying, hey, I know you're the killer. He'll just be like, no, so you see, here's what the killer did. You know, because Columbo knows they did it. But he's kind of keeping to himself that he knows they did it. William Hartnell's a lot like that here. He knows something's not right with them. And he's doing a lot of that. You see him smiling a lot. You haven't destroyed any of them, have you? He looks like he's very amused in this. And the animation version of that scene, because I did watch the animated version of that scene as well, doesn't quite pull that off. Because it doesn't do his facial expressions as quite as amused as the live action does there. It's really hard to review this one because it's a very forgettable story, to be honest. It's not a bad story. I enjoyed my watch through of it. I do want to watch the color version of it. I liked the surviving episode 3 and the surviving footage from episode 1. But again, this is definitely not one of those stories you're just going to be phoning up and be like, man, have you seen Galaxy 4? I will admit I love the Chumblies, though. They're adorable. They're like friendly Daleks. Like the Daleks if they were just adorable Care Bears, you know? I love the fact they don't talk either. They have their own little, like, R2-D2 noises, you know? Whoop, whoop. They make the cutest, most adorable sounds. They have their little antenna they communicate with. They seem so friendly and benign, like they wouldn't hurt a fly. I like when the Draven shoots one of them and it just ducks down. Whoop. Then you see it slowly peek back out. I love that. I was laughing so hard at them. I especially like them in the surviving footage more because like their head kind of bounces. And when they raise up, they tend to raise up from the top, then the middle, then the bottom. The animation of them is okay too, but they tend to raise up from the bottom first and raise up like that. And that's not quite as adorable to me. But I really love the Chumblies. I kind of want like a little Chumley plushie or something. A little Chumley toy I can put somewhere. Because they're adorable. I'm surprised the Chumblies aren't more of a thing. They're not marketed more. Maybe it's just because they're in this story, and this story again is only okay. It's not a bad story. It's not a great story. It's okay. It's okay. I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I own it. But the Chumblies could be my favorite part to come out of it. And again, Hartnell's really good in it. Looking at the surviving footage of Hartnell, He looks, he's really good in it. I really enjoy watching him in it. And of course, Steven and Vicky are fine. That's kind of nice for me because I haven't really seen much of Steven and Vicky, really, to be honest. So it's kind of nice to really kind of learn some of their characters. I don't know if I've ever seen any of Steven and Vicky, actually, thinking about it. This could be the first time I've really seen Steven and Vicky because I've never seen any of season 2. And I think Vicky leaves not long after this in Mythmakers. So, yeah, that's kind of nice actually getting to get a little familiar with these characters and catch on to them a bit, even though I know Steven doesn't really act like Steven in this since the story was written for Ian and Barbara. But it's fine. The animation is fine. It's definitely an improvement over Fury from the Deeps, especially tonally. It matches the story. I don't have too many gripes with the animation. I don't mind. I think for the B stories like this, you give that to Big Finish Creative, the kind of B team, and then you give the important stories like Evil of the Daleks, Power of the Daleks, other big stories. I know somebody else actually did Power of that, like Evil of the Daleks, Abominable Snowmen, Daleks Master Plan, stuff like that. You give that to BBC Studios. They're the A team. They're the Dirk Benedict, George Papard, Mr. T. That's them. You give them the highly big names that everybody wants to look super good, like Evil does. And then you give the kind of smaller stories like Galaxy 4 and stuff to Big Finish Creative. Because what they do is fine. It's fine. I liked it. I am looking forward to seeing the color version because I think I'm going to like that 60s Technicolor look they go for. And I like the fact they do a good job of making the planet look vast. Even the black and white version conveys that pretty well. So yeah, I like it. It's good. It was worth watching. So that's my thoughts on it. I was right when I opened this. I didn't just have this big dent here. I don't know how well y'all can see that. But there's actually a couple small dents on the back. I didn't have it unwrapped when I did my review, but there were more dents here, and you can see that's incredibly slanted. So yeah, I do have one on the way from Zavvi, and then I got a refund coming from Amazon, and then they did tell me I could just keep this one. I guess it's cheaper to let me keep it than it is for them to have to ship it back across the pond. So that's my thoughts on Galaxy 4. I know it's a little all over the place. I'm really not feeling great today. I was actually supposed to go to the theater with some friends tonight, and I really wasn't feeling it, so I kind of begged off. I'm feeling kind of under the weather. Just really tired, really tiring week. So this one is a little all over the place. My apologies for that. That is my thoughts on the black and white version of Galaxy 4. I will be watching the color version probably sometime this week, and I'll get a review up for that as well. So let me know what you think of the black and white version of Galaxy 4 or just Galaxy 4 in general down in the comments below. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon. If you like what I do and would like to support me on Patreon, there's a link to that down in the description below, and I would certainly appreciate you taking just a minute of your time to check that out, see if there's anything there to interest you. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.